Good morning, everybody. How are you? Um, it's a cold morning, April the 12th, and but let's do this. Let's do this, and thank you for coming today. Monday is not maybe Monday morning is not the best day of the week, I guess. But anyway, welcome everybody, and I'm gonna start sharing my screen with you guys. So here we go. We are live on YouTube right now too. So I'm recording our session in on YouTube, right? I'm gonna share with you now the calendar so that we can locate ourselves in space time. We got here, for example, this week, which is the third week, and we should be studying short stories, emotions and moods, and correlative coordinators. Yeah, but today we're going to study about emotions and moods, all right? And if we got time, I think we should um, try to study the direct and indirect questions, right? Only if we got time. If not, we could sit tomorrow together with correlative coordinators. Okay. Um, but before that, I would like to ask you about the short story. Um, you know that the submission of the first assessment is on the last week of April. So, and next week we got the recess week. Okay, the autonomous work. So, do you have any questions about the short story, like the guidelines, the how to do the work? Um, just ask me questions. Use the chat room. Use the microphone. Whatever you want. No questions. No comments. No complaints. Nothing. Yes, it's based on the reading of the book, right? Yes. Good question. Yeah. In this case, the short story basically is a piece of writing, which is I'm going to show you the guidelines. I think it's going to be easier and quick. I'm going to answer actually both questions together with the guidelines. So if you go, for example, to if you want to check with me, links, and then there is a section here which is the assessment supplies on UCampus. You got the short story rubric and the guideline short story, and you got the audiobook. So here, short story. Um, maybe some people would think that the book is kind of long, and it is long, but I think I told you one of the previous classes that in this case it's not necessarily to read the whole book, right? Because the book, we're going to use it as a reference. um, because the idea of the short story is to create like a piece of fiction or microfiction, um, dealing with vampires. That's the idea in general, right? And we decided to use, the vampire Lestat because it's like more iconic of the 90s and stuff like that. But just like a sort of, um, it's a nostalgic thing. But you can create your short story or your spin-off based on vampires in general, right? Maybe you can include names like Lestat, but then you can do like cross. In this case, you can cross stories maybe with other I don't know, series or movies or whatever, and you can create your own spin-off, like a universe of vampires, whatever you want. And in the general description, we can see here that a short story is a piece of prose fiction that typically can be read in one sitting. So why? Because it's short. And you have here the number of words, which is 800 to 1200 words. So the minimum is 800. And 800 words is pretty much like in one side of a page, I guess. Yeah, it's like not really long. Um, so what you have to do in this case is create this sequel or this spin-off or OVA, whatever you want, based on the vampire Lestat. But then you can mention, for example, Lestat or some of the events in the book. But again, it's not a requirement to read the whole book. It's because the book has like 430 something pages, and we don't have like much time. All right. So if you want to do it like because of you want to do it, that's okay, but it's not required. Okay. And actually, we cannot control that. So the most important thing then, 800 words minimum. Um, you should share it via Google Drive. So you create a Google Drive doc and then you share it to me, right? What else? Yeah, the title. I mean, the title is something necessary and important in this case because um, you can create your own creative title, right? It's not only like, for example, a spin-off or a sequel of Vampire Diaries. No, it's more creative, like just put a interesting title over there. Describe the personality of the characters. As I told you, you can do this crossover with different characters from different movies or stories or manga or comic, whatever, and then put it there. Just get creative. Do any crazy thing you want. Establish the setting, the plot, and the conflict in this case. So that's important in this case. Talking about the structure, you remember that we were talking about this uh, the heel or the root that a story should have. You start with the setting, then you need a problem or a conflict which is rising, and then the denouement, which is when everything fits, or the end actually. Yeah, we got the plot, the conflict. What else? The character, exactly. The characters face a terrible setback, and then they reach the climax, solve the problem, and then the conclusion in this case. And also everything is, or everybody is changed forever, or then you leave like a bridge to a next part, for example, like a second spin-off. But you need to that conflict, you need to solve it, and maybe you can, I don't know, kill everybody or kill half of the characters, or just everybody is happy, but then you got like a hint that the story will continue. Okay. Another question, Fabian. So as long as it shares, for example, some elements from the book story, it should be fine. Absolutely right. You got it, Fabian. That's the idea. Okay. So that's why, in my personal opinion, you're not required to read the whole book. You can read part of it so that you can get like a general grasp of it. And then you can put it into your, in this case, short microfiction in this case, right? And again, I think, in my personal opinion, that if you do crossovers, because like pretty much everybody have watched or read stories about vampires, um, and and then in that case, you can just maybe get more creative and start, doing like these connections with other stories. Or if you got your own story in this case, based on something else, just go for it. Okay. What else in the something important on the guidelines. Oh, you got in this case, for example, in the section elaboration, um, something that may help you write in this case. It says a short story requires a key emotion, or maybe it's like the mood of the story. You know, is it gloomy? Is it dark? Is it nostalgic? Is it or maybe kind of optimistic within this vampire dark universe? I don't know. You can put any key any emotion or mood in this case. Um, what else? Core meaning to be discovered by the audience, maybe something that is not like quite explicit. And then you can put something, you can put some mystery in it if you want. Maybe something like a secret, maybe something which is important that should be discovered in the story. What else? A good hook that attracts the reader in this case. Normally, also these plot twists are interesting to explore. You know, when there's a plot twist, I know it's like 800 words is like not too much for a plot twist, but maybe you can direct the story at the beginning to some point, and then you can completely do like an 180 deviation. um, what else? A hook also build the plot upon the mood or key emotion. Yeah, that's important. If you want to use a very, I don't know, dark, sad, and mood, for example, the plot should be like really, in this case, dramatic, let's say, right? There are many bad things happening around, and so the plot should be around that emotion, right? Also, we got the characters should go under hard circumstances, but then overcoming them all in the end. That's one option, because the next option should be like, everything is doing like really uh, bad, and then at the end, I don't know, worse. You can choose. By the climax, a major challenge must make them lose all hope, giving way to a maybe miraculous solution. So this is, when I think about this, I think about the turn of events in End Game. When Captain America was like fighting against Thanos, and then like everything, like every bit of hope is lost for him. you know and then the sky opens, and you start seeing like a this the army of in this case Wakanda. And for me it was like, it was crazy. Everybody went nuts in the cinema. Everybody was like screaming and wow, because it was a really crazy turn of events, like a plot twist. You think, okay, Thanos is going to destroy, in this case, Captain America, and he's gonna die. And then this turn of events, that pretty much changes the whole game in this case, right? And what else? Miraculous solution. Hmm? The end might be open. That's one option. Or change the characters forever. Or maybe you'd really much end everything in that sit, right? In that sitting. The use of the language must demonstrate progression, coherence, cohesion, blah, 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 be creative. Yeah, the rest is just things about the rubric. And then you get like a set of links here that you can use to, like extra information about short stories. If you want to read more about it, maybe you feel a little lost at some point. So in that case, you can text me to ask me questions, or maybe you can use this, links to get more information in this case. I want Marvel. I love Marvel and DC too. So this is pretty much 40% of the final mark, which is it's kind of high, the percentage. But we also trust, we also trust that if we direct you to do a good work, in this case, we help you, you can get a really good mark, like the first sitting, you know, like so, but let me know if you got problems in on the way. Just let me know, right? Let me know, text me and tell me, you know, I'm lost, I don't know what to write, I don't know how to do this thing. Just I'm gonna help you, right? And any questions or comments on the short story?
When is the deadline of the assessment of the short
Good,
story?
good question. The final deadline in this case is April, in this case 30th, April 30th, right? Midnight.
30 April.
Exactly.
Okay,
April 30th. Yeah,
thank you.
exactly. You're welcome. Man. Okay. If you got it done like before, just send it to me. Okay. If not, you know, it's the 30th of April, midnight. Okay. If you guys got any problem, if you cannot send it like right by the 30th, just text me too. Let me know. Maybe you got something happened, and then I can give you like maybe 24 hours more. We can talk about it. No problem. All right. Um, let's continue. We should be studying right now emotions and mood. So I'm gonna show you another thing about right here. Yeah, changing topics. So this is the vocabulary section or the lexical section. Okay. Um, in psychology, we have some, you know, in that science, we got a definition of emotions and moods, the difference, you know, but they both belong to the group of affect. You know, that's the technical name in psychology. And I remember that I dealt with this topic when I was writing my master degree thesis paper. And yeah, I mean, affect is pretty much the technical name. So it's defined as a broad change of feelings, you know, which can be you know, genetically, in this case, it's like a genetic set of emotions in our species, you know, that we can, the range of emotions that we can feel. So that big range of emotions and the combination of emotions are called affects in this case, right? That people experience. And also interestingly, this is applied to other species too. Okay, like animals, they can pretty much feel like similar things to humans, but there are some limits according to the nature of the brain, for example. But yeah, they can feel, for example, the animals can feel anger and fear, and also they can feel thirst or hunger and love, affection, and stuff like that. You know, that's scientifically proven. Yeah, there's no question about that today in the fields of the like animal psychology, and biology, etc. Right? And so affect can be experienced in the form of emotions and moods. Right? What's the difference between them? Emotions can be caused by specific events, something which is temporary. You know, there's a space and time for an emotion, and it's very brief in duration, like maybe seconds or minutes. Okay. Um, and it's specific and numerous in nature. So we got a lot, like a huge range in this case of emotions. Many specific emotions such as anger, fear, sadness, happiness, disgust, surprise, and combinations of them, you know, variations of them. So that's why you can feel two things at the same time, right? That's possible. Mm. And because of, you know, different reasons. Usually emotions are accompanied by distinct facial expressions that can be studied, you know, so like they can be visible and observable. So that's why, for example, the um, the science, which is pretty much like this when scientifics or psychiatrists study like the facial expressions and the physical, manifestations of emotions, they can be measured. That's the idea, and that's pretty much in the field of Skinner. He was one of the scholars that studied in this case the physical manifestation. Skinner, so he classified the expressions in humans, and that's pretty much the base of conditioning, for example, conditioning, which is behavior which is observable. Okay. So facial expressions and action oriented in nature in this case. All right. Um, so in this case, nature means, the physical capacity feel these emotions, the nature of the species in this case. So for example, if you check some variations in dogs, for example, or cats, they sometimes they got different skills, but at the same time they can be like more passive, more active. They can show different uh, like quotation personalities, because of the variation in the species. Okay, so you got different breeds in this case, um, and they got their own characteristics, all or just like physically and also emotionally or psychologically, if you can call it like that. They're different, but that's genetically predisposed in this case, right? Um, and moods are different, yeah, from emotions, because the cause is often general and unclear. So the moods are more permanent. There are some cognitive reasons or historical reasons in the moods, right? They last longer than emotions, like maybe hours or days. And it's because something is going on maybe in the life of the person that create this mood. Okay, it's more general, not so specific. It has two main dimensions, which is positive effect and negative effect, basically. Okay, and comprised by multiple specific emotions. In this case, we got the combination of emotions that are part of that mood. So it's something like bigger and more permanent than emotions. So for example, when you got like a sad mood, you can call it sad mood, but you got different emotions involved. Maybe you got frustration, you got anger, you got sadness, you got let's say nostalgia, you got like all of those emotions combined and related, and that would be part of the negative effect in this case group. But in the positive effect, you got enthusiasm, happiness. You got in this case a lot of combination of positive like love and all of these emotions, which are part of the positive effect in this case. Generally, most not indicated by distinct expressions, because especially in the Asian culture, it's really difficult to read emotions because they don't show you like, and they are like trained by their culture not to show emotions like pretty much like the Western culture. When, for example, in general, when we feel anger, we show it. When we are sad, we show it and say it. Like with the body and also with our words. But in Asian cultures, that's like pretty much not polite. It's not like accepted in their culture. So it's more difficult to study them because of that. Not indicated by distinct expressions and cognitive in nature. So it means that this is not only genetical, the mood is psychological and it's cognitive. There is reasons in this case before behind that. Okay, so emotions are more based on genetics, and moods are based on cognitive, backgrounds. Okay, and personal history, and also learning. Okay. Uh, any questions about this section on emotions? I'm not an expert on this, I'm not a psychologist, but it's an interesting topic to me. So I have studied it before anyway. There's a question in the chat room. No question, Karin. Okay, very well. This is pretty much the same thing, just like an infography, comparing the two things, which is pretty much the same I just told you. The intensity also is different between emotion and mood. For example, the emotion is intense, but the mood is less intense, but it's more lasting in time, right? So a rapid onset and a gradual onset in this case, like when it decays, the emotion decays quickly, but also the mood decays in this case slowly. So remember, when I see this, I also remember, for example, this love at first sight. Maybe some people believe in love at first sight. It's pretty much in the range of emotions. Okay. um of course it is strong. The point it is very strong. The release of hormones, endorphins, etc., is really strong when you feel that, when you got that feeling, with somebody. um but it's misleading in the sense that it is not love as the love defined in like a lasting feeling. you know it's in the range of emotion, right? And then it can become, in this case, like a mood, and then it can become like something bigger, like a permanent state in somebody's life. But it starts with emotion, with a trigger which is really strong, maybe at first. um, um and yeah, very brief in duration, can last for days, depending if it is emotion or mood, right? There you go. More information in this case. Here we got like a range of, in this case, emotions or feelings. Now there is also a difference between emotion and feeling. Emotion is more, but this is like a different school, right? There's another school which says that emotions are genetically based in this case, but the feelings are more cognitive. Okay, so maybe the base of the feelings, in this case, the biological basement is emotions, but they can be built into feelings which are more related to the inner world of the person. Feelings are associated to the thought and the paradigms and the way we see the world and the way we see the people. Okay. So we got here, for example, a lot of different emoticons showing like different emotions. Um, but there are certain combinations that we can see in humans. Like, for example, somebody who is aggressive at first can also maybe be arrogant, and also be like, in this case, for example, disapproving. So when you got this combination of emotions, you are in the range of mood in this case. When you got this emotions combined, that pretty much builds a mood in somebody, which can be different. Of course, one person can have different moods. Okay. Or maybe, for example, another day or another person can be, like happy, joyful, and interested, you know. So, but when you get like a different combination, for example, which is like not pretty much logical, let's say, for example, frustrated and indifferent, and the same day it is joyful, it is, in this case, it's an impairment of affect, is called in an impairment, because there's something which is maybe happening in their lives, like for example bipolar disorder, in which people like they really change, they change really quickly, you know, because but there's something which is not only cognitive, but it's something that can be genetic, and it's something, you know, worthy to be studied. Okay, in this case I'm not judging at all the people, but I'm just saying like something based on science. Okay, um so that's why, for example, bipolar disorder is something that should be, in this case, understood, and something that can be studied, and one person can receive treatment when they're suffering or they are diagnosed, because bipolar disorder is something that should be diagnosed. Yeah, we cannot say that somebody is suffering by bipolar disorder, because we're not, for example, psychiatrists. We need like an official certificate to prove that, right? What else? What is eavesdropping? Is it part of the
Yeah,
emoji
it's the one
control
with the ear. Uh, I think on top. Yeah,
on top? Hold on.
it has like one eyebrow down, the other up. It has an ear.
Oh yeah, if eavesdropping in this case, it's pretty much when you, for example, you're listening to a conversation, and then you start like, oh, like in Spanish it's like como sapeando, but it's like you're just like doing something else, but at the same time you're paying attention to something that is being said by another group of people, or by somebody else, you know. It's not just putting your ear in a situation, but at the same time you're doing something else, right? um I, I can't find like a good translation, and if you can find a good translation on Google, then just go for it, right? But it's pretty much like that, you know. The situation is like you start like listening to a conversation, you're doing something else, pero como que no quiere la cosa, te pones a escuchar otra cosa que está pasando al lado. Okay. um all right. What else? So more emotions in this case. The hangover in this case. Yeah, you know that one. I know that one too. You know, hangover, which is combined sometimes with, I don't know, with hurt. If you, it depends on the last night. You know, hangover. You know, combined with hurt, combined with maybe I don't know, with joy. If you were start remembering, you know, what happened, or or lonely. I don't know. So it depends on the, in this case, the personal history in this case. um Meditative, also normally when you're meditative you can be, in this case, it can be combined with something which is, in this case, like similar. Okay. um because normally meditative is a positive effect in this case, which is really hard to be combined to something which is negative. Okay, unless you are working on your emotions and rebuilding your personal story, but normally meditative is positive. Okay. um so we can classify the in this case the emotions or feelings. We can classify them into positive and negative. Okay, or maybe like combination of both, because it's very, in this case, it's relative sometimes depending on the feeling. So for example, can you tell me? You can type them in the chat room from this group that you are saying. Can you give me like some positive effects in this case, positive feelings that come from this? I'm going to try to make it smaller in this case. Can I make them smaller? There you go. If you check them out, maybe you can find some positive emotions or feelings, and then let me know. Tell me which ones you do you consider as positive affect in this case, or positive feelings from this group. Estoy lol
Blissful.
confident. What is it, Ivana?
Blissful.
Blissful is positive. Very good. Excellent. Toy lol says confident. That's positive. Very good. More positive feelings. Pain is considered a feeling. Yeah, we could have a long discussion about that. But yes, if it is something which is a temporary, yes. Yes, pain is considered a feeling which is temporary. Okay.
What about cringe? It is also a temporary feeling.
Cringe, yes. Yes, of course. It's a temporary thing, yeah, because it's triggered by something which is specific, like an event, which is specific, not something lasting in time. Cringe. Yeah. Many things can give us cringe, right? Okay, more positive feelings in this case. I say feelings because again, feelings are more related to cognition. Yeah, how we understand the world and stuff like that. Positive feelings, ecstatic, right? In this case, let me see. It's something which is related to extreme, for example, extreme happiness, extreme amazement, right? Or something which is maybe maybe more than happy at the moment. It's like, wow, really, it's like really happy. Okay. Maybe, for example, it's similar to enthusiastic. Okay. And sometimes they are very related, ecstatic and enthusiastic are very related. Okay. Happy, absolutely positive effect in this case, or positive feeling. What else? For example, let me check one, which is, what about shocked? Is it positive or negative, or in the middle?
I believe that in the middle, because you can be shocked by something that makes you happy or something that, I don't know, makes you mad. I was thinking the same to hysterical. Because you can
Historical.
be, I believe something like ecstatic, but it's like desenfrenado, o sea,
Right.
desenfrenadamente.
Yeah.
So,
Historical
como
is
que,
it's pretty much like going crazy, yeah, uncontrollably. Yeah, I understand. Thank you. Etc. etc. And what about negative effects? We got a like a wide range of negative feelings, negative effects in this case. I could recognize, for example, aggressive, but for me it's negative. Unless, no, and this is the interesting thing, you can be aggressive to defend. So the question is that in that case, is it negative or positive? So if you want to defend or protect, in this case, you can be aggressive against the aggressor. So in that case, would it be positive or negative? So that's why sometimes it is complex to to define in feelings in the binary in a binary order. You know, they can be like more than that. Okay, or for example, determined. Pretty much, you can be determined to do good or evil. You see. So in that case, it's kind of more difficult to define them, right? Disappointed in this case for me is clearly a negative in this case. Disapproving is pretty much the same thing as I told you before. Like you can disapprove what is wrong. So is it disapproving in this case negative? So I think it depends on the situation too. Exhausted is pretty much like, I would say, negative, or maybe you can be exhausted doing good things, you know, but exhausted is also combined with more like emotions, you know. You can be exhausted but at the same time disappointed, or you can be exhausted and frustrated because something bad happened, you know. Grieving, in this case, grieving and exhausted, they can be like really tied together. And grieving is pretty much like, for example, when you lose somebody, you are really sad, devastated, and grieving. Okay, so you got all of these different feelings at the same time, right? Etc., etc. So do you have any questions, any comments about feelings, emotions, affect? No, nothing. So yeah, many of them are pretty much like Lucas. Good. Well done, man. You're right. Good job, man. That was fast. That was fast.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The one that is in the lower part of the image, it says sympathetic or it's sympathetic.
Sympathetic.
Okay. I wasn't able to see the A.
Yes, sympathetic. And I also, for example, there's one which is like not very well known, which is sheepish. I don't know if you've seen that before, sheepish. And I would like to, you know, the best way to learn about emotions is normally, you know, what the scientists do. They explore the expressions, the the body language, to understand and you know, define in this case the emotions. So I'm going to show you more pictures so that you can figure out what sheepish is, because maybe this emoticon is not enough. But I'm gonna let you guess and define the emotion. So let's look up for sheepish, and then you tell me. Images. It's a lot of sheep in this case. Let me see. Sheepish, like this one, for example. There's one here. I feel sheepish here. Or well, this sheep is pretty much like showing the feeling too. Any ideas about what sheepish is?
It's like being shy. I
Um,
don't know.
kind of, yes. Very close, very close. Let me show you more pictures. Maybe we can find more pictures. But it's very close what you said, Ivana. Okay, this one. Look at this. Yeah, you can be shy, of course, and also sheepish.
It's more like embarrassed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is the difference? Shy is like more like a it could be a mood, but also it could be a yeah, it could be a mood, absolutely, because it's like something like more permanent, and can be also part of your the personality. You know, you are always shy, maybe, you know, all the time. So that's more than a mood. It's something more lasting, which is part of your personality. Maybe you can be shy your whole life, but not sheepish your whole life. Okay, because sheepish in this case is about a specific situation, right? Embarrassed in this case, um, which is very different from cringe, because you know, like cringeness is pretty much like la vergüenza ajena. You know, it's like that's very weird feeling that you. It's like I don't want to see this. You know, it's like okay. Um, good. What time is it? 9:45. Well, 9:41. We started like wow. Ya nos pasamos. Nos pasamos caleta. A las 9:20 tenemos que terminar. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I feel sheepish. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. But well, thank you for your attention. And we got this class, you know, already recorded on YouTube. So I'm gonna then paste the link later. And well, gracias totales, and see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow, teacher. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye. See
See
you.
Bye.
you. Take care.
Bye, Stu.
Bless you.